Hi everyone, so today I'm doing a wear test with the new McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Foundation in the shade Light Medium 8. Now if I'm looking at the viewfinder quite a lot, it's because I'm paranoid that it's not going to be in focus because I filmed it. This is the second time I'm filming this because the last time I filmed it was all blurry, total write-off, which was very sad. By the way, I know my eye makeup is not matching today, and that's because I did a battle of the neons, just in case you're wondering. I'm not colorblind, I know that they're different. I've never done a wear test before, but I find that they're particularly helpful just because most people do wear their foundations for a whole day, not just for a video and then take it off. But yeah, I wanted to do this because there seemed to be a lot of interest, and I know I'm kind of like one of the very last people to be doing a video on this, but I thought if you have, you know, a similar skin tone to me or similar skin type concerns, then this might be helpful. So I actually bought this off the Selfridges website. I do have a Selfridges Plus membership, which means I get free shipping, express shipping for the whole year. I ordered this on launch day on the 26th of July. It arrived to me within 4 business days, which is very typical of Selfridges. Their shipping and customer service is amazing. In comparison, I did actually order the entire system with the powder, the brushes, the primer from the McGrath website because they were offering a 10% discount, and I also wasn't sure with my shade, so I did order light medium 10 as well. However, did have a couple of dramas with ordering off their website. I know Karen Harris did as well. I got my order confirmation when I ordered it that day on the 26th, and I hadn't heard anything, no shipping confirmation, nothing for 2 weeks. So that's when I kind of decided, okay, I feel like I've been patient enough, reached out to the customer service, said, hey, just checking that my order went through. Is it gonna be shipping anytime soon? And they apologized and said, look, there was delays because of the huge number of orders. I mean, that's fine, I can understand that. Although I do think that, you know, she has enough resources to put stuff on if, you know, when it comes to big launches. But I just feel like if you have delays, send out an email and tell people that you're expecting there to be delays with shipment, because at least they can sort of not worry that, you know, where is my order? Because I think 2 weeks is a pretty reasonable amount of time to expect that to happen. I believe in the email they said the shipping confirmation will come out within 2-3 business days. They did actually offer me a discount code for my next order. I'm gonna put it here so you can all benefit, why not? And yeah, I got my dispatch, my shipping notification the next day, and it's coming by standard mail, so that means it's going to take at least 2 weeks to arrive to me. So I will probably do something else with that once I get it. 2 weeks for me, that's pretty standard when it comes to shipping anything to Australia because we're pretty far away. The annoying thing is just that after that it's been 2 weeks waiting for that shipping confirmation. It would have been a whole month before I actually received my order, so that is very disappointing. And I definitely feel like when you are spending that coin and at that price point, you do expect things to be handled a little bit better. So very disappointed with that. If you can avoid ordering from the McGrath website, I would suggest it because it's not always the best experience. I didn't actually realize that this is actually available in Sephora stores in Melbourne. The price actually varies depending on where you get this from. On the Sephora, I think it's $106. On the McGrath website, it's $115. And then on Selfridges, it's $99 once you include the customs and everything. So if you do have a Selfridges Plus membership, I would say go for Selfridges. Actually, I have been wearing this for the last week, so I already have an idea of what I think about this foundation, but I will let you wait till the end of the video to give you my overall thoughts and conclusion. So at $115, this is by far the most expensive foundation in my entire collection. Now I don't have a whole ton. I've got a MAC one, I've got a Natasha Denona one, I've got a Suki one, a L'Oreal one, a Sulwhasoo one, and they are all under, I think, $70. And of course, you know, when a foundation is $115, your expectations are right up there. And I think that's understandable. When you are paying that price, you're expecting it to outperform all foundations under that price point. Anyway, let's get into the wear test. I'm gonna be hoping to do at least 8 hours. So a 4-hour check-in halfway through the day and then an 8-hour check-in. So I don't have anything on my face at the moment. I am gonna add sunscreen, which is the one I've been using for the past like 6 months. This is from Mecca Cosmetica, it's an Aussie brand. It's a really great sunscreen. So I'm just gonna put that on my face. I always add sunscreen. And again, because I don't have the McGrath primer yet, I'm using the Prelude in the Clouds primer from Rouge. It's water-based as well, so I'm hoping that these two will kind of go together. So this is what the bottle looks like. It's got a pump bottle. It kind of reminds me of like the Estee Lauder one, like the frosted glass gold pump. Well, actually that one doesn't have a pump. It'd be great if it did. But this is what it looks like, one pump. And I generally find that one pump isn't enough for me. But I'm going to show you how much I can sort of cover with it. Now I am using the Morphe M439 brush just because that's the brush that I use for most of my foundations. And because this is on the lighter side, I find that if I use a beauty blender or a sponge, it just soaks up way too much product. And I find that with lighter coverage foundations, you get a better finish with a brush. So that's what I'm going to do. It's what I do with pretty much all my foundations. So this is just one pump, and this is what the coverage looks like. I do have, as you can see, moles and sunspots, and it doesn't cover all of them. So I can definitely say this is on the lighter side for coverage. And I would also say that this shade is slightly too light for me, but once I add the bronzer and the blush and everything, I can make it work. So it's not too big of a problem. And it also is winter here, so this is definitely not a shade that I probably could wear once my skin gets a little bit deeper in summer. It does feel quite tacky on the skin. My skin is definitely on the drier side, and it does get oily in the center. That's sort of enough to cover about half my face plus a little bit more. I find that with this foundation, I need to add about 2 pumps to get the coverage that I want. It is described as a buildable coverage, but I personally don't like to build up these foundations too much. I'd rather go in with a concealer in areas where I need it. So it's a very watery foundation in terms of the finish. It feels very liquidy, and I can't really feel it on my face. Like it does feel quite lightweight. Definitely do need a concealer to cover the darkness under my eyes, because this foundation doesn't do that, obviously. And then I don't actually add foundation to my full forehead, just kind of where my eyebrows are, because I have a fringe, I don't feel like I need to take it up all the way up. So yeah, that's what 2 pumps looks like. And I do have a little bit more on the back of my hand, which I like to have, because if you've seen my project pan Get Ready With Me, once I add my cream products, I do like to have a bit of foundation just to blend everything out in case there are edges that kind of look like they need diffusing. So that's generally fine, and I tend to use all of it up after that. So this is what my skin looks like. I definitely can tell that I'm wearing foundation. Like, it doesn't look like I'm wearing no foundation at all. And again, it has covered a lot of the sunspots and a lot of the freckles, but obviously the darker moles you can still see on my face. So it is, again, a lighter coverage foundation. Okay, so I've got the rest of my base on, and so I'm going to start the wear test now. Everything that I'm wearing on my face is going to be in the description bar below. It's pretty much everything from my project pan, I keep saying that, but it's 9:22, and I'm going to come back maybe at the 4-hour mark and then again at the 8-hour mark. That's the plan. I feel like at the moment the foundation looks pretty good. Like I said, I can feel the tackiness to it. I have powdered it a little bit as per normal. I tend to powder just the center of my face and not too much around the edges, just because I don't want like very heavy powder on my face. So we're going to see how that all goes, and then I'll check in with you in another few hours. So we're at the halfway mark. It's 2 o'clock at the moment, so it's been about 4.5 hours since I've put my foundation on. So far it's looking pretty good, I'd say. I do notice that this foundation does tend to hold up pretty well after a couple of hours. I haven't actually done too much today. I haven't been out of the house so far. I've just been doing some laundry and baby stuff before the baby comes. So it hasn't been a strenuous day. I've had some lunch. It hasn't been a difficult day for this foundation, to be fair. I don't really notice too much fading, really. That tackiness is it's still there. So if you do, put your face to your phone, I do notice there to be transfer. I don't powder all of my face. I think if you did put a lot of powder to set it down and make it more matte, there may not be any transfer, but I don't do that in general. So, because I do like my skin to look quite natural and skin-like. I do feel like over time, this foundation looks a little bit better after a couple of hours of wear, just because the natural oils can come through and it kind of settles down and doesn't look as foundation-y as when I first applied it. So I actually do like how it looks after 4 hours more than I did when I first applied it. So far, so good. I'll come back in another 4 hours or later, depending on how things go and give me my overall thoughts. Okay, so it's 5 o'clock and I want to do my final check-in. It's about 7.5 hours, almost 8 hours. I wanted to film the last check-in just before the sun comes down because otherwise the lighting is going to look very strange. It's going to look a little bit hard to see how it's worn. I can definitely see that it has faded around the center of my face, especially around my nose area. Like I said, it kind of, as it wears in, it looks more and more like I'm not wearing very much foundation, not quite as heavy as when I first applied it. Yeah, you can definitely feel the foundation still on my face. I haven't really tried not to touch my face today because sometimes I do get fidgety. I think it looks okay. I feel like it looks a little bit more faded than at the 4-hour mark, but I have noticed when I've worn this foundation for a little bit longer that it kind of ends up looking like I'm really not wearing much foundation at all. And I feel like if you look really closely at my skin, it looks like I'm not really wearing any foundation, which can be a good or bad thing depending on what you like. If I'm having a good skin day, which I feel like my skin looks pretty decent right now, you know, it does look fine. But obviously if you've got redness, if you've got, you know, skin issues, then this foundation I think is going to start showing those through, because I can definitely see more of my pigment marks and freckles coming through compared to earlier in the day. If you want your foundation to look like foundation on your face and stay like that throughout the day, then I don't think this has done that. So overall, I think that this is an okay foundation. I don't necessarily think I would repurchase this foundation at the $115 price point. I don't think it does anything more than my other foundations. I feel like my Suku Nude Wear foundation has a very similar finish in the sense that it looks very skin-like, similar texture, very watery. And yeah, I honestly don't think that this does anything above and beyond those foundations that are cheaper. So I don't know, I think it wears up okay, it wears up decently. It's winter right now. Based on my experience, I think this is a fine foundation for winter, but I really don't think this is gonna hold up all too well in summer. I can see my skin kind of, like my foundation kind of melting off during summer because this foundation still feels tacky. So I don't think it will hold up depending on the environment you're in. It looks like skin. It definitely does look like skin. So if you're looking for that kind of foundation that looks quite natural, you might want to consider this if price is not a concern. But honestly, I think you can get better foundations that do kind of a similar thing for less. That's just my personal opinion. After wearing this for a week, I'm not blown away. I'll be honest, I'm just not blown away. I don't think it's done anything special to my skin. I just think it makes my skin look like my skin. If anything, it does kind of even out the skin tone a little. I'll give it that. Hopefully you found this wear test helpful. Maybe in future I'll do more if you like this kind of thing. I mean, I honestly don't buy very many foundations all the time, especially because my goal this year is to use up a lot of my cream and liquid products, which are my foundations. So I don't really foresee myself buying any more, especially because I've got another one of these on the way in a different shade. So yeah, I don't know, maybe paired together with the rest of the system, with the powder and the primer, things might look a little bit, they might look a little bit more enhanced, but I don't feel like it does anything to enhance my skin. It just makes my skin look like my skin. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you've picked this foundation up, what your thoughts are. Do you feel the same way as I, or are you completely in love with it? I hope honestly that you are, because $115, if you're not in love with it, it doesn't feel great. I've heard actually a lot of mixed reviews. Some people love it, and some people really don't think it's worth the price. So I'm really interested to know what you think of this foundation, if you've tried it or if you're gonna pick this up. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.